Welcome to the Love Gods, where two romance audiobook narrators answer listener-submitted questions about love, sex, and romance. I'm Tim Page.
And I'm Liam DeCosimo.
A quick disclaimer, this show is for entertainment purposes only. If you need real help, please seek out a qualified dolphin.
And as always, we recommend you do not listen around the kiddos, as we will be talking about adult topics.
What are baby dolphins called? Are they kiddos?
I mean, it could be. I think they're called humans.
Baby dolphins are humans, yeah.
Yeah, humans, pretty much.
Yeah, well, don't let your baby dolphins around.
That's true. That's why you always see footage of like a dolphin humping someone, because they're like, you're the same as me.
Isn't it because dolphins actually, like, we can't say it on YouTube, but they actually like take from other dolphins things which they're not willing to give?
Yeah, they'll also do it to corpses of like sea lions and stuff. Yeah, dolphins are weird, man. Why do we know so much about dolphins? These are weird things.
I know these things because I always thought it was funny that dolphins were like everybody's favorite thing for so long, you know? Yeah. And then you come to find out they're terrible creatures. Like
it's like when you see like a poster in like a young kid's bedroom and it's like rainbows and a dolphin jumping over a fountain, and you're like, that dolphin's gonna do a thing to that fountain and probably that rainbow too. So
yeah. So well, for entertaining content like this, if you want more, you can take your little dolphin piece and just tap the subscribe button and the like button and the bell notification so you know whenever we do a new video. That would be really cool. And we're going to ask you some questions, you, dear viewer, and you should answer them in the comments. Last week, a bunch of people rated our advice. I'd love for you to do it again. And I will tell you, we got a lot of 8s. Makes me question our viewing base.
Yeah, this should be like around a 2 to a 3.
2 to a 3 is realistic. 8 just means that you are not a discerning connoisseur of advice, I don't think.
Or they rated us on the entertainment aspect of it versus the quality of the advice given.
That's fair. An 8, but an 8 seems low for the entertainment. We're wicked entertaining. I think 10 easily.
Yes, solid 10s.
Get your shit together.
It's the only time in our lives we can ever call ourselves 10s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I got 10 inches in my pants, but other than that, just kidding, I don't.
I got 10 pounds per ball.
10 pounds per ball. I like that.
I like it. It was awkward.
Yeah. How did you get a scale that was able to fit so much?
I know. It just flopped.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, as usual, we still don't have a sponsor, and we're going to keep it that way for the time being, I think, because I'm kind of digging just doing our thing, doing whatever we feel like, and not interrupting it with some bullshit. I don't know if we should do like a Patreon or something. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. I've never done one, so I don't know if we did like a Patreon where there was like we answered an extra question, because we have enough questions that we could answer an extra one, and that just went right to Patreon, or maybe episodes go there. So I don't know. If you guys are asking for it, it's the only reason I bring it up. I don't know. We'll think about it.
I feel like that'd be dope. Do like either like early release on an episode, or like you said, a bonus question.
Yeah. Or even like we could do the "Am I the asshole?" question specifically for Patreon.
I like that.
Something to consider. Let us know in the comments below if you want us to do a Patreon. Again, I know we've gotten some messages and shit about it, but you let us know, our dear viewing audience. And if you're our listening audience, you can let us know at the Love Gods LOL on the Instagrams. So
yes.
Yeah. That's really the only socials we're active on.
Yeah. Fuck
all the other ones.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I haven't been on that in forever.
Yeah, I deleted mine, so
yeah.
I deleted it. I found bluer skies,
There you go. I just don't use them. That and Threads. I just don't use it. I use TikTok. I use Instagram. You want to hit me up? Those are those are your best bets.
Yeah, I just got my TikTok back, actually. So now I have TikTok, and I can post videos and have people be like, why is this guy talking about audiobooks? I want to learn about stupid tour games.
Yes. And there's so many more that we could do.
I really want to share the one from that one band, but Like I don't want to ruin a lot of people's day that really like that one band.
Yeah, yeah, might some things are better left unsaid.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, let's dive into the first question. This one comes in from Asking for a Friend, she, her. She says, what's your guys' take on emotional infidelity? Do you think having an emotional affair is as bad as a physical one? My friend recently found out her husband has been doing that, and she's conflicted about how bad it is and whether she should stay. I'm not sure where I sit, so I wanted to ask you guys. Thanks. Liam, you take this one first. What do you think? Is emotional infidelity as bad as physical infidelity?
I mean, I think it is, because with a physical thing, when it's purely physical, just like in a relationship, like if I'm single and my partner is single and it's just a physical thing, you can do that and then kind of separate. I feel like an emotional investment into somebody else is harder to break from. You've put more into it essentially. Mm-hmm. And we've had this happen where a friend of ours, their significant other was emotionally cheating on them with another individual. And as far as we know, there was never anything physical that happened, but they were talking to each other, and there were certain things that were being said that when our friend found out about it, like he was pretty freaking crushed, and deservedly so. I think that for me, I think both are bad, but I can recover more from a physical infidelity versus an emotional one. Because if it's emotional, then there was more of a connection between the two of them than just like, oh, you got drunk and slept with somebody else, or you kissed somebody, randomly. Like that's, I don't know. I've less of a concern. I mean, I'd still be bothered by it. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
My wife did that.
You're like, I don't mind. My wife can go fuck whoever she wants, as long as she doesn't like him.
She's a grown up. She should do what she wants. I mean, she can. I just hope she doesn't. But yeah, I think, right. But I think that's the thing for me. I think any emotional infidelity can be difficult, but I also think it depends on how you define that. Some people could be like, oh, you started following somebody on Instagram. So is it one-sided? Like, is your person just stalking this individual, or is there two-way communication? So I feel like you kind of have to discern exactly what's happening. It sounds like with this one that there is the two-way communication. So, you would need to decide, is it still worth it for you to continue the relationship, knowing that there's the potential that he could be emotionally invested in someone else further down the line. Not to say that just because somebody does something once, they're going to do it over and over and over again. But I do know that once trust is broken, it is hard to kind of mend that to some degree. What about you, man? Like, how would you go about kind of handling that were this to happen to you?
Well, I definitely don't have an answer for your friend. But I agree with you. And I think it's really funny because it does seem like this is sort of like your opinion and my opinion, because I agree with you, is a hot take. I think for a lot of people, they could handle an emotional investment as long as it wasn't physical. For me, it way more if somebody had an emotional affair, like that would be a bigger problem for me. And I think part of that is because of how much of an emotional connection that you and I like make when we're in a relationship, when we're in a committed relationship. That emotional connection is much bigger than the physical one, because, in my opinion, you can get a physical connection with a lot of people, unless, unless that's not your thing. But like, I feel like, at least for me, it's easier to have a physical connection than it is to have an emotional one, like a deep emotional one. And so I think if I'm with a partner and she is having that kind of experience with somebody else, I'm monogamous. So, or at least I, generally am. Who the hell knows what I am now? I'm nothing now. But like, I'm generally, if I'm in a monogamous relationship and somebody is having those feelings with somebody else and like sharing that with that person, well, then that changes the dynamic of our relationship, and it's something to be discussed. And it's something I think if I were in your friend's shoes, I'd have a lot of thinking to do. I think it's going to come down to a lot of self-reflection. And I think Boy, I do think that the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people is the relationship is done. And you and I have both said in the past, like if somebody cheats, we're done. Like we're automatically done. But then I do think at some point you reach a point of emotional maturity where you go, I should consider things. I should really dive into things and consider what I want. What does this relationship mean to me? Do I believe that this was an isolated incident? There's so much that can go into something. And I don't think that you should have a blanket like cheating is the end of, not that I don't think you should. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at. I do think trust can be rebuilt. It's hard as fuck. It's a long path. Trust can be rebuilt. But I think that when it comes to an emotional cheating, I think that's way harder to rebuild, because then it's like, well, it's not as if you had some urge, some need that needed to be met. No, you had these emotional, deep bonds with somebody else that you connected. And that's something that is more of a detriment to the foundation of our relationship, because this thing that is supposed to be so special between us is now not just between us. Now, again, I want to also specify that even in a polyamorous relationship or an open relationship, you can still be, you can still have infidelity. You can absolutely cheat in a, in a relationship that's not monogamous. But just speaking from my experience being monogamous, I think emotional infidelity is significantly worse for me. But I don't have any advice for them, because it's just going to come down to what she's willing. I think you said it was your female friend. I can't remember. But what she's willing to tolerate, and how important this relationship is, and how connected they are, and how deep the emotional infidelity is. Because you nailed that, Liam. You said like there's different levels of things as well. Yeah. Because it could be like if they were just if it was harmless flirting, which everybody can define harmless for themselves. That's one thing, right? I've been told that I can be flirtatious at times. I'm not usually when I'm in a relationship, but being a flirtatious nature, like some people just are naturally flirtatious, and it literally has nothing to do with a connection. It doesn't come based on sexual attraction or anything like that. They can flirt with anybody, anytime, and it just is how they are. And I think that's one thing. But if it's more of there was something there, both parties felt something, they were talking, like, hey, I miss you, I wish you could come over, that kind of stuff. That's a little deeper. And for me, that'd be something I'd have to consider. And I think your friend should think about that too.
Yeah. Because you have to measure, like, what are you going to gain versus what are you going to lose?
Yeah.
Like if it's just, we're in a relationship and we don't own anything together, other than maybe a couple CDs. I'm dating myself here.
Yeah.
Cassette tapes,
CDs were in my car.
I can't leave. But I think that's like right. Like, I think that's kind of part of it, is you have to sort of, like, if you're married and you have kids, like, there's probably a much more in-depth conversation that has to happen. But say you're like 2 months in and he's already flirting with somebody else on Instagram, you're like, bye, bitch, I'm out.
Yeah. And alternatively, some people would say, well, the relationship is so new, it's just getting started, then it's something that you could maybe look past because it's so new or whatever. But again, it's up to everybody, like for me, I would think even if it was new, hey, it's new. This is the point where we're supposed to be the most excited, right? Because you have that new relationship energy, the most excited, and you're still out there flirting with other people. You can't break past that if we've agreed to be monogamous. I think there is that level of investment. I don't think that just because you've been together for a long time, you have kids, you're married, whatever, that you should be like, well, I'm not going to break it off. But it does warrant more consideration. It warrants more like, okay, let me figure out where I'm at, who I am, where do I want to be with this? Because there's a lot more at stake. Heartbreak is heartbreak, but when it's heartbreak and it's a family and it's all that, don't stay just because of that. I'm not saying to stay just because of that. I am a huge proponent of divorce if the relationship is not working out. Okay. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, I think in that case, it probably warrants more thought than if it's like a young, new relationship that's you're not that invested in, and somebody has an emotional affair. You're like, well, I'm out. That's reasonable. Yeah. Probably less likely to do that if you've built a long lasting connection. You have kids, you have a family, or you don't have kids in a family, but you've just been together a long time, or you're really invested in the relationship. Then you have to decide, can I put in the effort to regain this trust? Will they put in the effort to regain the trust? Because that's hard. It's really fucking hard. And that's the other thing about trust breaking. I've thought about this a lot, is that when somebody breaks trust, there's no way to be like, this is what you can do to regain my trust.
Yeah.
There's nothing. It's just it's time without the trust being broken again.
Yeah.
And that's impossible to say. I literally could never tell somebody this is how long it would take, because you don't know. You don't know until all of a sudden there's something that happens and it requires you to trust them, right? Like, somebody is gone, they tell you a story, it sounds a little dubious, and you have to decide, wow, do I believe that story or not? Yeah. And that's how you can decide if you trust them. But that can't be built without just doing it for a long period of time. So
it would be 714 days. That's how long it
that
takes
is
to
the
rebuild my
estimate.
trust. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's 2 years and 2 days.
I wrote that down just now. I wrote that down. So I'm going to break your trust, and then we'll test it.
We'll test it. We'll test it.
See if you trust me in 714 days.
Right. I make that joke because that was always the 2 years when an ex would recontact us, and we're like,
yeah,
why 2 years? Why is it always 2 years?
Always.
So weird.
You know?
It was not like 1 or 2. It was like 4 or 5. Like, it was a
Yeah.
pretty significant number where we're like, this is starting to feel like a pattern.
That hasn't happened to me in a long time, thank goodness.
Yeah, same. I mean, no, the only people that hit me up now are just authors and other narrators. Yeah. That's the only people that ever slide into my DMs.
I slide into your DMs every day.
You slide into my text messages every day. I literally wake up with a text message from you at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
My time.
Yeah.
7 his time.
Because I've been up for an hour at that point.
Have you been up since 6?
Yeah, I get up at 6 every day. My kid's got to go to school at 7:30.
Yeah, my kid's got to go to school too. Oh, 8:30. Never mind.
Yeah. The joys of homeschooling. Mm-hmm. All right, well, I know that wasn't helpful asking for a friend, but thanks for the content. We appreciate you. Let us know what you think of that advice in the comments below if you're on YouTube. And, you could rate us on a level of 1 to 69. How great was that advice? It's probably bad. It wasn't much advice.
1 being 1 finger, 69 being 69 fingers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I just actually got to tell the story of the shocker the other day again.
Oh, yeah? Like in real life?
Yeah, in real life. It was fun. Yeah. All right. So this one comes from Anonymous. Her, says, "Hey guys, I'm hoping to get some advice from you on this. I'm dating a guy I really like. I'd call it semi-serious. We haven't talked about marriage or anything, but we're exclusive and have the label, and we've met friends and family and stuff. My issue is, oh my God, this is so funny because I forgot that this question is here. My issue is whenever we're out in public anywhere, I'll constantly catch him checking out other women. And I don't know if he thinks he's slick or subtle, but he's very much not. I'll literally be watching him stare at them right at their tits or ass. I'll be honest, I'm struggling with whether I should talk to him about this or just break it off. I don't want to be rash, but it seems like if he's out there constantly checking out women right in front of my face, maybe he's just not that into me. What do you think I should do?" And I'm only laughing because I'm like, I feel like this was a segue question from the last one directly into this, because it's not emotional infidelity, but it's like, I mean, maybe to some people it is, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
visual infidelity.
Visual infidelity. I talked a lot on the last one, but I'm supposed to start on this one, and I'm going to make mine kind of short. I think that that is going to be up to you. I think it's a newish relationship, whatever. I think you probably, at the bare minimum, if you like this guy and you want to see where it goes, I think you should talk to him about it. I mean, and this could be very, I don't want to say aggressive, but it could be aggressive. It could be very much like, hey, fuckface, I know you're looking at women when you're out with your boys and stuff, and that's fine. As long as you're looking and not touching, that's fine. Don't do it in front of me. It's really disrespectful to do that shit in front of me. It's not that hard when we're together to not be staring at other chicks' tits or ass, because you've got my tits and ass right in front of you. Stare at mine. Don't be staring at other people when you're right in front of me, if it bothers you, which it sounds like it does. The other thing I'll note too is, if it doesn't bother you, and you're just concerned about it because you think you should be worried about it, or because your friends are like, oh my God, I can't believe he does that, or whatever. If it genuinely doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. I know a lot of people. I've actually met a lot of people that are perfectly comfortable with their partner, like checking out other girls. And sometimes they'll even be like, oh my God, check out the rack on that one, right? So if that's you, cool, like roll with it. But if it bothers you, bring it up to him, talk to him, be like, hey, fuckface, don't do that anymore. Save that shit for when I'm not around. And I think that's the best you can do. And his reaction will tell you a lot. If he's like, yeah, babe, you're right, I'm really sorry. I'll try. I'll make an effort to not do that. Cool. I think that's good. If he's like, well, I didn't do that, there's a conversation to be had there, and something to think about, because I think that's a common reaction. Like, I didn't do that. Yes, you did. I saw you do it, and all I'm telling you is to stop doing it. And I think that's a reasonable way to go about it. I don't think it's in my eyes, I don't think it's a thing where you need to automatically dump him, because let's be real, men suck in general. That's not saying you should lower your standards, but I'm just saying, like, the odds of the next guy that you date doing that are pretty high because men suck. So I think finding out like how he responds to you bringing it up is going to say a lot. What do you think, Ham? What should she do?
Yeah, I kind of echo a lot of what you were saying there. It's tough, right? Because there's the part of me that kind of says, if he's doing this in front of her, like without, at least even trying to mask, like if he thinks he's being sneaky, like, I've got sunglasses on and she can't see where my eyes are, right? Like if he's trying to be fucking sneaky, like that's different. But if he's doing it pretty blatantly in front of her, it kind of tells me two things. Like, one, he has no problem objectifying other women, in which case he probably will have no problem objectifying you.
Yeah. Fair.
And do you want to be objectified, and do you want to be with someone that it potentially could be that he is only looking at the physical attributes that you bring to the relationship, and that maybe he's not appreciating the other things as well, like the emotional and the intelligence and whatnot. So if he is, like, if you do feel appreciated in other aspects, then yeah, I'd say, if he's window shopping but not trying to buy, then not that big of a deal. I feel like we had a question, not like a far cry from this, right? When you think about dudes that follow a bunch of like Instagram models, or the dudes that subscribe to OnlyFans, right? Like, if they're just looking because it satisfies a specific need or urge that they have, like, do you really look at it that way, like as that it is detrimental? Or if him doing this makes it so he's not doing something else that's even like that is shitty. I'm not saying that it's shitty to follow these people. It's whatever it's your choice. You want to follow them. But I think there is kind of like you have to decide for yourself like what you're comfortable with. Like when we've talked about people that are comfortable with their partner watching porn and people that aren't. If you're not comfortable with that, but it's a habit or a behavior that your partner is exhibiting, at the end of the day, they're going to do, as long as it's not illegal, they're not hurting anybody, then let them do what they want to do. I would say with this, if he's pretty blatantly looking at other women, that can also send the wrong message. Like a certain woman may see him checking her out and be like, oh, maybe he's available. And then it just creates a situation you'd probably rather not deal with. So I would echo your thoughts. Decide for yourself, is this something that you're willing to deal with? But give him the benefit of the doubt. Have the conversation first. If he doesn't curb his behavior or doesn't feel remorseful or gives you a reason like, hey, I do this because I just like to look, and if that's not okay with you, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to change, then you have to decide what's more important. Like, allowing him to continue to do that, or, having him change, hopefully for the better of your relationship, because it obviously makes you uncomfortable. In which case, then you just amicably split and you find somebody that doesn't exhibit those same behaviors.
Also could be a great filter. Like, this could be a blessing for you in the sense of, it's an early opportunity to test him without being manipulative, right? Because you're not being manipulative. I don't like the manipulative test You know, the thing that's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna have
Do
my
you think
friend
she's hot?
or that, right? I don't like that shit. But like,
No.
if he's doing something that's not cool and you bring it up to him, his response should tell you a lot about who he is. And again, see, I hate playing devil's advocate for fellow men because I, in general, think we suck. And that's not like some virtue signaling thing. I just think we generally are terrible in general. Like if you talk to most people that are men attracted, they'll tell you we're trash. But by the same token, if he responds in a way that's like, well, I didn't do that. That's a pretty common response. And I think I used to be really defensive. If I got called out on shit, even if I was in the right, like I got really defensive a lot of the time.
Yeah. Same.
I think that, I think that's a common thing. I probably still do from time to time. I've just had to work so specifically on it because it was a huge issue with my relationship with Sarah. It was like a big issue because I would get like, she would call me out on something that was legitimate, something that I had done wrong, and I would instantly be on the defensive, even if I knew I was wrong. And it wasn't that I was arguing that I wasn't wrong. It was just that I would argue to explain why I did what I did. And she was most of the time just like, well, I'm not even like saying like, you're an asshole, fuck you. I'm just saying, hey, I didn't like this thing. It didn't feel good. And you're explaining why you did it. Right. But I would get defensive about everything. And I think a lot of guys are like that, given like, I wouldn't be like, oh, his first reaction was defensiveness, he's out.
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable to be like, okay, give him a minute, let him collect his thoughts and be like, hey, I just want to say, I know you said you didn't do it. All I'm saying is, please don't do it in the future, okay? If you didn't do it, great. In the future, please don't do it. And if he's like, I'm telling you, I didn't do it, then it's like, okay, then he's probably telling you who he is. But at that point, if he's like, okay, I didn't do it, but you got it. I will make sure I'll make a consistent effort to not, do that going forward. Then cool. Then you got somebody who is responsive to when you're having, issues or you're bringing up things that are important to you. But if his response is like, well, I should be able to look at women, it's not like I'm doing anything, then it's like, okay, then you can determine if that's the character you want in a man, right? But realistically, just break up with him.
No, I'd stay with him, but pinch his nipples and say really, really loud, stop staring at her tits. Like,
That's a good idea.
Make him feel awkward at every instance, like every possible thing,
What if you like trained him like Pavlov style, that like every time he looks at a woman, just tap his nuts, like just a good slap? Because I will tell you, a lot of people are like, oh, kick people in the nuts. It's like, yeah, great. But you know what really hurts is a good slap on the nuts. Mm-hmm. If you get that, like, it sucks. It really does suck.
If he's got like decent arm hair or leg hair, like if he's wearing shorts, pull a hair out. Yeah.
Or a single beard hair.
Oh God, those are the worst.
It's awful. Wade used to, my son, that used to be his thing. He would like, little baby, and he just grip strength, man. He would just and I'm like, oh God, don't do that. That actually hurts a lot.
Yeah, I'd have to keep it shorter with the babies, so they wouldn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no bueno.
Yeah. So just start training him with a little nut tap. All right, last question. This one comes from, the name is A Question for the Fellas.
Okay.
And pronouns he, him.
Cool.
We don't see a lot of those he, him pronouns around here. So welcome. I was just talking shit about your people. Our people.
Nice. No, it's just them, not us. No, you and
just
I.
Not. Yeah, we're not he,
we're
hims.
unique. Yeah.
Yeah, we're our pronouns are unique.
Unique. I like it.
Okay, so he says, Tim, I relate in some ways to your situation more than yours, Liam, but I wanted to get both of your perspectives. I'm divorced, have been for just shy of a decade, and unfortunately I haven't been able to connect with anyone in that time. Yes, that means I haven't had sex in around a decade. Well, I'm sorry that you relate to my situation more than Liam's. He says, I'm a pretty sexual person generally, but life has just not really let me be in a place where I can meet someone. I've heard a lot of people talking about hiring a sex worker. I never really considered it before, probably because of my Catholic upbringing. Yeah, you relate to us.
Yeah, baby.
But as time goes on and I get older, I'm approaching 50, I've been considering it more seriously. I haven't done any research or anything, but I've just sort of pondered the idea, and it's sounding more and more like something that might be for me. What are your guys' thoughts about hiring a sex worker, and do you think it might be a good idea for me? Thanks, guys. Love the show. Us fellas are out there listening. We just might not ask as many questions. Ha. Nice. Well, thanks for writing in.
Heck yeah.
Ham, you're on first duty for this one. What do you
like
think?
it.
Do you think that this fella should hire a sex worker?
So I don't know from like a legality standpoint what I'm
Yeah,
allowed
okay.
to
Anything we're about to
recommend.
say is not legal advice. We are not
Yes, thank
attorneys.
you.
We are fucking
you.
idiots on the internet that
Yes.
narrate romance audiobooks, so none of this is legal advice. Thank you.
Yeah, so my first bit of advice would be to look up the laws for where you live
In your area, for sure.
yeah, in your area, and see what the legal standpoint is. I know that there's like they're called like ranches or whatever, like in Nevada, because
yeah.
because
Legalized
like same thing with
prostitution
gambling.
there, yeah.
Legalized prostitution. So you can like go to places where this is legal, like what the red light district in Amsterdam people always talk about. Like that's like a big avenue for people seeking sex workers.
Yeah.
I would say I have never participated, so my information is limited to what I saw in the movie Pretty Woman.
Well, okay, so wait, I'll interrupt really quick. Let's start with this. What's your opinion on sex work? Like sex
Fuck
workers?
yeah, dude. No, fuck yeah. I think you and I are sex workers. Like we're
Yeah,
oral. We're just oral sex workers
Yeah.
instead of oral sex workers. No. I think like because everything from OnlyFans, all the way to people that are like on the street and whatnot. There's a wide breadth of what constitutes sex work, and I'm
sure.
a proponent for it. It's we were making a joke before we started recording that like Tim and I being musicians and like having to tour and do all these things and have to go from like one job to the next and have like a job lined up for as soon as you came back from tour. Like being a musician is one of the oldest professions. Like you look at like minstrels and, going from town to town and playing shit. And like the only profession older than that is prostitution, which let's be fair, most musicians are also prostitutes. So
For sure,
it's
100%.
kind of the same fucking thing. So yeah, no, absolutely. Like I think it gets a bad viewpoint on it. And I'm not trying to shit on religious people, but I think from like a religious standpoint, like they'll pick certain things that are like, oh, this is the unfathomable, right? Like this is a sin or whatever that we can't forgive. And it's like, dude, if you read the Bible, like Jesus hung out with Mary Magdalene, who was a prostitute. Like he surrounded himself by people that they were not without sin. So I think, I'm a relapsed Catholic myself, but I would rather look at things through the lens of like he who is out without sin cast the first stone. Like all of us have some things that, we could work on or we could change. So I think looking at somebody else for doing something that they have to do to survive or that they've chosen to do because it was something they were interested in doing or it was their calling, how is that any less pure than what anyone else is doing? I'm sure there's people that look at
100%.
what you and I do and go, "Oh, it's inappropriate." That's
They do.
wildly
I know they do.
inappropriate.
I've had people tell me that to my face. Yeah.
Nobody tells me that shit because I just do. I jog to the beat of my own drum. But I think that if it's something that you're interested in, look at the legality of it. Look at how you could go about doing that. But absolutely, man, like if you've got a need that needs to be satisfied and there are people that for the right price are willing to satisfy that need, fucking go and get you some, brother. Like get there, get in, like be safe, be smart. But otherwise, yeah, I've got absolutely no fucking problem with that. I mean, I don't know what it's like because I haven't had to go through a divorce. I mean, like I went through my parents' divorce, but that's a very different experience than having it yourself. And I literally got lucky this morning. So I just I can't I can't
For the
identify
first time all year.
I love making those jokes, but she really does just take care of me, bro. Like it's just I'm so
I know, but I have to make fun of you regardless.
it's my fancy hair. She just can't go.
Yeah.
She can't
sure.
she can't go a week without me, you know.
Don't let him fool you. It's the whining. She's like, if I have to listen to you, bitch, one more time, I would rather
for sure.
I would
For
rather
fucking sure.
put that thing inside me and like wiggle around for like 4
Those
minutes
30 seconds.
then have to listen to you whine for a week.
Who the fuck do you think I am? A marathon runner? I don't have 4 minutes. I don't have enough energy for 4 minutes. When I'm narrating a chapter, and if the sex scene is longer than a page, I'm like, unrealistic. Absolutely unrealistic. Nope. There's no way.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't.
He's had his dick in his asshole for like 6 pages and he hasn't come yet? Nope. Don't believe it. Nope. Not even.
Fair enough.
What about you, man? Like I feel like I made jokes to you, telling you like, oh, just fucking hire someone.
I mean, I've had a lot of people not make jokes and just be like,
Just do it.
whatever. So where we relate for sure is like, person who wrote in who didn't give a name, other than the little tagline. I relate in the like, I'm not legally divorced, but broken up for all intents and purposes, and I went a long time without sex. I don't remember exactly how long it was, but I want to say it was like 4 years, maybe
I think
5.
so, yeah.
4 or 5 years. I'm not sure, because we were like, she and I have joked about it. Like, oh, how long do you think it was before we broke up? It was probably a while because we were kind of on the rocks for a long time. So yeah, 4 or 5 years, whatever, which is a long time. And you said you're nearing a decade, which is a long time. Where we differ is that like, I'm not a super sexual person. I would say that like, if there's a 1 to 10 scale and like 10 is Liam and like
Yes.
1 is like an asexual person, maybe. I might be like a 5 or like a 6, like I have a sex drive. It's plenty healthy. I enjoy sex, but it was never the most important part of a relationship to me. Not that it's for you either, Liam, but like,
No, it is.
it's
nope.
it's-
I'll own it.
it's an important part of a relationship.
I
Go
love
ahead,
fucking.
go ahead.
I fucking
I know you do.
love fucking. So
I know.
I get it. It's not the only thing I love about my marriage, but it is one of the things I do thoroughly enjoy about my marriage.
Yeah, but it's just, for me, it's like, not even secondary. It is secondary to the emotional connection, but it's also like, I could probably be in a relationship for a decent amount of time without having sex, as long as the connection is there. And I would say probably as long as the idea that sex or things will happen eventually, because I do think it's an important part of a relationship. For me anyway, not for everybody. That being said, I for sure can understand, and I've never been at the point where I was like, I'm going to hire a sex worker, or I guess I would say even had considered it, primarily just because, I don't know, I don't think I got to that point, but have for sure gotten to a place of like, God damn, I could use some physical affection, like I could for sure use some kind of physical affection. Doesn't even have to be sexual, but just like, they're like, I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but like that feeling of having another person's body up against yours, and like, obviously there's like, family and stuff, but I mean like some kind of an intimate connection with somebody of the gender that you're attracted to. There's something about that that's just like special and human and like life affirming for me, not for everybody, I understand, but for me, that's really powerful. And so I get more to that point than I do to like needing sex. And sex workers can for sure fulfill that need as well. Like I know some friends that have hired sex workers. One of them, it was specifically not to have sex. It was just for that like physical intimacy. Like they made out and like cuddled and talked and just whatever. And I think that's cool. And I would be more likely to do that than I would to have sex with somebody. That being said, I'm going to say all of that to say, dude, if you are considering it, do the research, just like what Liam said. I would give you the same advice I would give if you were looking for casual hookups, you know, just like Liam said, be safe, do your thing. But I see nothing wrong with it. I think there's nothing wrong with sex work. I'm a proponent. If people want to do it, they should fucking do it. And there's a million reasons that people would want to do that work or choose to do that work, and they're all perfectly valid. So if it's something that you're considering, look into it, do your research, find out. I remember some of the conversations that we had. One of the things that he had said was that there's different like strata of sex workers, like specifically sex workers that will have sex with you, right? Because I'm not talking about OnlyFans models, but I'm talking like specifically sex workers that will have sex with you. And I cannot remember the term for the life of me because it was years ago. But there's a term for the one that he recommends that's like, they're like higher end. Because like when I say higher end, I don't mean like a higher quality human, but I mean like they offer a certain level of service. Whereas like there's a certain level of service that's like they're there to get you off. And that is their goal, and that's what you're paying for. But then there's like a certain level that's like, yeah, they're probably going to talk to you for a little while beforehand. They're going to want to know about your you know, what you like and what you don't like. They're going to maybe have some emotional connection. They might cuddle after you fuck. They like, there's a lot to it. So it just comes down to what you're looking for and what it is that you know, you feel you need the most. So again, I'm speaking from like third hand experience here, but I think that if it's something that you want to do, that you're considering, that you have the financial ability to do, if it's not, you know, you're not able to find somebody that can fulfill those needs for you, fucking go for it. The other thing I would say too is that there are for sure other people out there that have those same needs, that are looking for maybe something like what you're looking for. And if you are ultra open about what you're looking for, you know, like just again, assuming it's a choice that like you want the physical thing, but you're not looking for a relationship or whatever. There's lots of apps that have that kind of thing. Like one that I really like is called Field. I think it's FEELD. I'm on it. And it is, what I like about Field is that it's like very open. So it's like you can be really specific with what you're looking for. So whether you're monogamous or not, whether you have certain kinks, like it's super specific. So if you're looking for certain things and you just want physical intimacy, you can put that on there and be really clear. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not. So yeah, I mean, I think that's an option too, of finding that. But if it's like a time thing and you really just want to get some needs met, there's nothing wrong with it. Go do it. You know, go give it a shot. As long as it's legal. And if it's not, I don't know, be careful.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or sex toys.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, no, it's not, but like, I think to your point, right, where it's probably not just the sex, but it's the intimacy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like, I'm sure dudes jerking off, right? Like, oh, I can still orgasm. That's not what I'm missing. I'm missing that physical connection. Because like for Brittany and I, like I always have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. Like I'll wake up Remy, make sure he's got his computer booted up and he's changed and he's sitting down. But like I'll climb back into bed and fucking cuddle Brittany and I'll fall back asleep sometimes. So it's, you know, there is a lot to be said. Like I always joke about like, oh, sex, but really it is that the physical connection, even something as simple as sitting next to each other on the couch. Yeah. And we may both be playing something on our phone while like Survivor is on, you know, like it's little simple things like that, you know, when you're in a relationship, it's easy to take for granted. And then when you don't have that, you're like, oh shit, that was the more important part of the relationship, that connectivity, you know? Yeah. And to piggyback on what we were talking about earlier, like, because that is not real, it's not the same type of physical connection as just having sex. So when we talk about like, oh, am I cheating at what level? I feel like almost more so than either just messaging somebody or actual physical cheating, but like having that where it's like, oh, we're sitting next to each other and shoulders up against each other. Like, I don't know, there's something like a sweet sense of that type of intimacy. So
For sure.
yeah,
And that it's so
I
funny
get
too,
that.
because like, hopefully she does not watch, but if she does, I'm airing our business. My most recent ex, that was one thing that was like actually really special about our relationship. Like obviously we had stuff that didn't work out, which is why we broke up. But one thing that was really special was we like the physical intimacy, not just around sex. The sex was great, but like the physical intimacy around sex was really good. Like we would spend a lot of time like, you know, either cuddling or like making out or just doing things that weren't sex that were intimate.
Yeah.
And then the same thing afterwards. And like that made it, I think, even more like special, other than it just, oh, sex feels good. But it was like, here's all this other stuff around it that's really good. And I remember this very specifically in the conversations that we had with my, you know, my friend who hired, one of my friends that hired the sex worker, said that like he went back to the same one multiple times because she was really good at like sussing out what he needed,
Oh, nice.
not just in a sexual way. Like she did that too, but like you got to figure people that are good at their job, right? Like we're great narrators, we're good at our job, we know how to do like the nuanced things that you might not know when you're just getting started as a narrator
Yeah.
or an actor. Same thing with sex workers. Like they probably at a certain point like really know what they're doing, and part of that is finding like the needs that need to be met, and sometimes that's going to be emotional, sometimes it's physical, like whatever. So it might be just what the doctor ordered for you, and it might not. Like the thing is, you could always try it, and if it doesn't work out, okay, great, you found something that didn't work out. There's no fucking stigma that's going to sit with you. There's no, for you, as long as you go into it like, I'm doing something that I want to do, and I don't care if people think that it's not cool. I don't care if it's taboo or whatever. I'm doing something that I think is okay, and just do it. And if it doesn't work out, it's not like, well, I've had sex with a sex worker, now this is, no. Go
Yeah.
enjoy it. Try something, experience something new in life. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, okay, on to the next thing. Now you've learned, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you don't know what flavor of ice cream is your favorite till you've tried them all.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
try
And
this flavor of ice cream.
life is so much better when you have experiences. And I'm not saying everybody should go hire a sex worker. I'm just saying, you know, if you have an experience that you want to have, or you're considering, like, give it a fucking shot. You know, as long as it's not something that's like, you know, you're probably going to die when you do it. Like, you know,
Or someone else is going to die.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Other people at risk, right?
Yeah. Some reasonable experiences, like give it a shot. In this case, you're not going to hurt anybody by doing this. And so, yeah, I'm all in favor of it if it's something that you want to do, but only you know that. And yeah, I wish you the best. You know, I hope you get your needs met. I can tell you for sure it does get lonely. I can not that I'm telling you, but I'm telling you, the listener, it for sure gets lonely sometimes, and you do miss that stuff. I feel that way. So I get it. I understand why you'd want to do it. And if you think that would, you know, could help you with that, fuck yeah, go do it. Yeah.
Might as well.
Cool. Well, damn, I guess that'll do it for this round of shitty advice. If you need some shitty advice from us, toss your question in the comments below, or head to thelovegods.lol and you can send your question in anonymously, and we'll be sure to answer it. We'll be sure to answer it. I had a friend that talked like that, actually. We'll be sure to answer it on an upcoming episode. Please be sure to like and subscribe and click the notification bell and all that. We appreciate you so much for watching or listening. I'm Tim Page.
And I'm Liam DeCosimo.
And we are the Love Gods. See ya again. Bye.
Bye.